Three criminals attempt to blackmail Park Mu-Jin, a politician of the Korean National Assembly, only for the criminals to be murdered by supernatural means that flattens the island they are standing on. Mu-Jin begins making preparations for the upcoming God of High School martial arts tournament. Jin Mo-Ri, a 17-year-old martial artist, is late for the preliminary tournament while chasing a purse thief on a motorbike and catches him by teaming up with 17-year-old swordswoman Mira and 17-year-old martial artist Han Dae-Wi. At the tournament it is explained fighters can use any martial art, bare fist, or weapons. The fighters are injected with nanomachines to monitor their vitals and heal injuries so they can fight harder. The announcer declares the fights will not be paired duels, but a mass brawl. Many fighters are defeated easily, until the commissioner sends in convicted criminal Kang Man-seok, a super-strong martial artist who fights only with his feet due to his wrists being handcuffed. He humiliates Mira by stealing her bak and then decides to duel Mo-Ri after Mo-Ri moves fast enough to avoid injury and even damage one of Man-seok's ankles. Park Mu-Jin infiltrates the Pentagon to see the president. It is revealed Mo-Ri never got to duel Man-seok since Mira snapped Mo-Ri's neck to retrieve her bakan. The three fighters walk home together and Mo-Ri explains he entered the tournament for a rematch with the commissioner who scouted him. Dae-Wi wants money to pay for his friend, Woo Sung-tae's, medical bills, and Mira seeks a suitable husband so she can save her family's sword style by passing it to her children. Mo-Ri accidentally drops her bakan into the river so he and Dae-Wi help her find it as it was a gift from her late father. At the next fight Mo-Ri, Mira, and Dae-Wi make it through their matches. Man-seok fights Go Gamdo, a Tai Chi user. Man-seok reveals he uses northern-style Taekwondo designed for battlefield combat that allows moves such as eye-gouging and groin strikes. Man-seok beats Gamdo and demands he beg for mercy. Disgusted, Mo-Ri saves Gamdo. The commissioners try to intervene but are overwhelmed by Man-seok's rage at being humiliated. Despite this, Mo-Ri easily renders Man-seok unconscious, only to find himself restrained by Mu-Jin's unexplained powers. Mu-Jin orders Mo-Ri be punished for interfering in a match. A mysterious cult watches the tournament. Mo-Ri faces disqualification until Mu-Jin recognizes Mo-Ri's grandfather, Jin Tae-jin. Mira defeats Ma-Mizian, an American female wrestler who entered the tournament seeking men for her harem. Mira reveals her family martial art includes swordless style, which can slice flesh using only fingers. Mo-Ri is told he can remain if he beats one of the commissioners, though not the commissioner Mo-Ri wants. That night Mo-Ri eats a peach Mu-Jin gave him and immediately vomits blood as it was not a normal peach. Dae-Wi's friend Sung-tae switches to a more expensive medication so Dae-Wi becomes even more determined. He duels Baek Sung-chul who fights with a baseball bat. Despite painful damage to his organs Dae-Wi destroys his bat and knocks Sung-chul unconscious. Mo-Ri awakens and only just makes it to his fight. He is told he will win if he can push the commissioner to the floor, then when the commissioner mocks him, he easily pushes him down. Mo-Ri is amazed his body feels more powerful, but the commissioner is so angry he activates a supernatural power and summons a clown-like spirit to kill Mo-Ri, only stopping after being restrained by his fellow commissioners. Mu-Jin happily confirms Mo-Ri is Tae-jin's tiger cub, and swears to take possession of him. Mira is approached by Seong-jin, a martial artist and businessman who asks her to marry him, promising he can make her sword style world famous. Mira withdraws from the tournament, angering Mo-Ri who criticizes her for treating marriage like a business arrangement and becomes convinced Seong-jin has an ulterior motive. Mira's uncle asks Seong-jin to end the engagement for Mira's happiness, but Mira insists they continue. Mo-Ri decides to infiltrate the wedding. Seong-jin has a flashback revealing he is a cult member ordered to marry Mira to obtain her moonlight sword style, believed to be capable of defeating God. Mo-Ri infiltrates the wedding with Dae-Wi's help and tries to convince Mira alongside her uncle and cousin. Mira is convinced not to waste the effort she already put into saving her sword style herself and cancels the wedding. Enraged, Seong-jin admits he only wanted Mira's moonlight sword and summons a samurai spirit to kill them, managing to escape with Mira's bakan. Mira is unconcerned and decides to re-enter the tournament without it. Later, Sung-tae deteriorates and Dae-Wi snaps and assaults several bullies who routinely harass him at work. During his match against Mira, Dae-Wi wins by savagely beating the swordless Mira unconscious and promising to defeat Mo-Ri in the finals. In his youth Dae-Wi shared a violent rivalry with Sung-tae that developed into friendship. Mo-Ri defeats his next opponent and will face Dae-Wi in the finals. In hospital Mira urges Mo-Ri to fight Dae-Wi for the right reasons, not for revenge. As their match begins Dae-Wi and Mo-Ri are evenly skilled and Mu-Jin watches hoping Mo-Ri will awaken. Mo-Ri knocks Dae-Wi down and tries to show him mercy instead of taking revenge, but Dae-Wi takes advantage, claiming he was never really their friend and unleashes a devastating attack. By chance, Mira stumbles across Sung-Ti's room in hospital and finds his family in mourning as he had already died. Dae-Wi knocks Mo-Ri down, but as the referee begins the countdown, Mu-Jin, who had promised to cure Sung-Ti if Dae-Wi won, informs Dae-Wi Sung-Ti is dead, hoping to unbalance him. Dae-Wi flashes back through his entire friendship with Sung-Ti and decides to lose the match. Mira arrives and interrupts the match with a goodbye letter Sung-Ti wrote to Dae-Wi. With renewed determination, Dae-Wi rejoins the fight, rediscovering his friendship with Mo-Ri. Mo-Ri deals a final blow to a happy Dae-Wi, winning the match. Mu-Jin comments that he seems to have found 2 tiger cubs. As the 3 friends leave the ring together, several other fighters watch them with interest. Mo-Ri's missing grandfather, Jin Taejin, refuses to join a mysterious cult, so they summon their god to destroy him. Mo-Ri is now Seoul's regional champion and can compete in the national tournament with a team of the regional's strongest 3 fighters. Mira defeats her next opponent, making her the 3rd fighter. Mu-Jin hopes one fighter from nationals will awaken as the key. The commissioners worry over a group called NOX interfering, so Mu-Jin summons the 6, including his elderly former instructor, Na Bong-chim, who decides to make Mo-Ri his pupil to provoke Jin Taejin. While shopping, Mira meets the tournament's announcer, Sim Bongsa, with his family and realizes Bongsa is actually blind. He advises her to channel her feelings into her sword to find the true strength of Moonlight Style, revealing it was Moonlight Style that blinded him. As Bongsa leaves, he is approached by a NOX assassin, Priest Drake MacDonald. Dae-Wi demands Mu-Jin tell him about the powers behind the tournament, so Mu-Jin tells him about Cheriok, fighters who borrow power from gods, demons, even historical heroes, and Mu-Jin wants to find the strongest. The remaining members of the 6 receive their summons and start to move. Dae-Wi tells Mo-Ri and Mira about Cheriok, though this only makes Mo-Ri more excited about fighting strong opponents. As the national tournament begins, it is revealed that Drake not only killed Bongsa, but also seemingly Commissioner Q. At nationals, Mo-Ri and his friends face the North Chungcheong regional champions. Mo-Ri uses Bongchim's acupuncture techniques for strength, but accidentally paralyzes himself and loses to Na Jaidong. Drake brags to Q about killing Bongsa and his wife and baby. Q recovers and activates his Cheriok, the scythe-wielding Joker-playing card, and cuts Drake's arms off. Drake recovers by using his Cheriok, Caterpillar, to reattach his arms. Dae-Wi faces Jin Pumguang, an unintelligent but hard-working man who wants to help children who struggle in school. Pumguang uses his Cheriok, Laborer, to summon a giant hammer, but Dae-Wi knocks Pumguang unconscious. Q almost kills Drake but is stopped by 2 NOX assassins, Priest Saturn and Axley Ivanovich. Commissioner O arrives to assist Q in combat. Meanwhile, Mira faces fellow swordswoman Jang Jangmi, a kendo practitioner whom she defeats, winning the match for their team. Outmatched by O and Q, Saturn and Axley flee while Drake sets off an explosion from his own body that destroys the top of the building. Mu-Jin determines that a traitor must have told NOX Q's home address. The severed arm of Jin Taejin is discovered, suggesting he was defeated and captured. The next team matches begin and Jekyll Take starts his match using his Cheriok, Megalodon, to brutally bite and rip his opponent. Dae-Wi intervenes in the match but fails to stop Take from claiming a sadistically violent victory. The South Giala team enter the semi-finals after the victory of Park Ilpio using the ancient martial art Take Kion and his Cheriok, Nine-Tails Guardian. Mo-Ri is suspicious the tiger on Ilpio's jacket is the same as Taejin's military uniform. Dae-Wi becomes interested in acquiring a Cheriok while Mo-Ri decides against using Cheriok. Mo-Ri is approached by Ilpio, who explains after his father died and his mother abandoned him, Taejin gave him a Take Kion training manual written by Ilpio's deceased grandfather, inspiring him. Take attempts to assassinate Ilpio, almost killing Mo-Ri, but Ilpio saves Mo-Ri. Q learns Bongsa's wife and baby are alive, Drake having actually killed doppelgangers created by P after Bongsa was killed. Mu-Jin informs Q 9-month salary will be confiscated to cover the damages of his fight with Drake. Q runs into Dae-Wi who, seeing Q has no money, offers him 1 free meal a day in exchange for Cheriok training. Mu-Jin informs the commissioners they have permission to use the full power of their Cherioks to prevent NOX assassinating the key. Mo-Ri becomes depressed over missing Taejin. Dae-Wi and Mira receive anonymous messages informing that it is Mo-Ri's birthday and rush to celebrate with him, cheering him up. They decide to win the tournament together, then duel each other to decide who is strongest. Mo-Ri receives a map and a photograph of Taejin imprisoned, missing his arm but still alive. With Dae-Wi suspended for having interfered in Taek's match, they will automatically lose unless Mira and Mo-Ri both win, except Mo-Ri is missing. Mira begins her duel against Lee Marin, who reveals he has Mira's stolen Bakken, explaining he unlocked the full power of Moonlight style where Mira failed and transforms her Bakken into the sword Feng Xian. Mira retrieves Feng Xian, only for it to return to Marin, having recognized him as its true owner. Mo-Ri follows the map to Taejin, realizing too late he is a fake which explodes. The bomber, Fei Long, reveals he is killing weaker fighters like Mo-Ri to locate the key faster and that he uses the Chariot doppelganger to create clones. Marin stabs Mira, declaring her too weak to wield the power to kill God. Mo-Ri is overwhelmed by the clones until Long reveals Marin and his team are dead and replaced by NOX cultists disguised using doppelganger. Furious, Mo-Ri uses an acupuncture technique to make him temporarily immune to pain. Mira refuses to give up and has a flash of divine inspiration, granting her the Chariot Lubu Feng Xian and true ownership of the Feng Xian sword. Marin attempts to use his Chariot, Kraken, but is defeated. Mo-Ri suddenly appears and easily defeats the second NOX imposter, flashback suggesting he killed Long to avenge the real Marin. Bongchim admits Mo-Ri has grown from Taejin's tiger cub into a true tiger. Ilpio remembers how Taek defeated his teammate, Sung Yang, ending her martial arts career. Now he is determined to get Sung Yang surgery to fix her leg. Mu-Jin informs Mo-Ri and his friends that NOX worship a single god and plan to murder all other gods and Chariot users. Long is revealed to be alive, until Taek arrives, having gotten all the information he needed from Long. He then murders Long, declaring he will claim the key. Mu-Jin tells Mo-Ri he is too weak to help Taejin, but if he wins the tournament he will give him some valuable information. Dae-Wi wins his semi-final match against Ilpio's teammate Park Sunga. Sung Yang scolds Ilpio for worrying about her when he should be keeping a promise he made to Taejin. Mu-Jin confronts Sang Mandiak, a high-ranking NOX cultist, who infiltrated the arena, only for Mandiak to summon his god. Mo-Ri struggles against Ilpio, who points out his every weakness, only for Mo-Ri to begin overcoming his weaknesses by copying the fighting styles of both Mira and Dae-Wi. One of the six, Co Hanriang, attacks the god with his 108 national treasure weapons to protect the arena. After a lengthy battle the god is defeated and the arena saved. Meanwhile Mo-Ri defeats Ilpio, who remembers the promise he made to Taejin that he would help Mo-Ri grow as a fighter if he ever had the chance. Ilpio suddenly receives divine inspiration from his Chariot, Nine-Tails Guardian, and awakens a new power. Mandiak happily declares the key has finally awoken. Thousands of years ago the Nine-Tailed Guardian was betrayed by God and, after destroying half of heaven, fled to earth and swore revenge. All Chariot users feel the awakening of Nine-Tails and instinctively fear it, except Mo-Ri, who is excited. While Ilpio is stronger, his new power causes him pain. Mo-Ri almost loses his match to Ilpio but suddenly wins with a strange power that overwhelms even the Nine-Tails. Dae-Wi and Mira ask Mo-Ri if he unlocked a Chariot but Mo-Ri is unsure. Mu-Jin senses the Nine-Tails' defeat and orders Ilpio be secured immediately while Mandiak flees. Mo-Ri visits Ilpio in hospital and explains about Jin Taejin still being missing. Elsewhere in the hospital John Jugok, who lost his Chariot, Mage, after being defeated by Taek, gains a new Chariot from Mandiak, Greed, that allows him to absorb other people to increase his strength. He attacks Taek only for Taek to bite him in half with Megalodon and kill him. Everyone Jugok absorbed is expelled, including Ilpio's teammates, who Ilpio is horrified to see both had limbs bitten off by Megalodon. Furious that Taek once more injured people he cares about, Ilpio attacks Taek. Meanwhile, Mandiak opens his god's summoning portal once more, allowing an army of creatures to appear. With the key located and the creatures approaching, Mu-Jin declares the God of High School tournament officially over. Sang Mandiak calls forth God incarnate in a final act to destroy the entirety of the world, thus ending the 11-episode-long fighting tournament central to the God of High School. The United States is made aware of the situation and fires nuclear missiles on Seoul in an attempt to subdue the old god, with complete disregard to the hundreds of thousands of lives to be lost as a result of this decision. The fight between Jegal Taek and Park Ilpio continues, with Taek revealing his true form to gain an upper hand. He consumes Ilpio and releases the key from within him. In a moment of frenzy upon the appearance of the key, members of the six, servants of the god, and Jin Mo-Ri clamor to seize the key, with Mo-Ri emerging with it in his possession. In order to protect the fighters, Park Mu-Jin teleports them away to a spirit realm. With the missiles near and the citizens of Seoul stampeding to find shelter, John Jason too teleports all of the people of Seoul to a cliffside outside of Seoul, from which they witness the destruction of the god at the hand of Jason and his transmutation magic. In a bright flash, Mo-Ri and the other fighters are transported back to Seoul, where they see the body of the dead god. In the final moments, the key is stolen and consumed by Taek, and all bear witness to his ascension. After consuming the key, Taek transcends his mortal body and becomes a god. He begins to ambush Jin Mo-Ri and his friends, threatening to consume everything in his way. Mo-Ri's memory is triggered and he remembers his true identity. He is actually the great god Sun Wukong. Despite not remembering many details of his life before becoming immortal, he jumps into action and summons his Rui Jingu staff to fight Taek. The Monkey King manages to get in several punches, and even drops constant lightning strikes using his power to summon nimbus clouds. This enrages Taek and transforms him into a monster-like appearance. Mo-Ri's friends join in the fight and finish Taek for good. Kim Eun-Nyo, founder of the Six, is awoken from her cave slumber and congratulates the group for completing the tournament and offers them a chance to have one wish granted. Mo-Ri initially wants to wish for his grandfather, but remembers Ilpio's friends are missing limbs and unselfishly wishes for them to be healed. Eun-Nyo tells Mo-Ri that his grandfather is still alive, and he finally loses consciousness as a result of the battle. He wakes up 3 months later, and Dae-Wi and Mira inform him they must travel to the Monkey King's origin place to recover his memories as a god. Thank you for sticking until the end. Subscribe for more videos like this. Be sure to hit the like button as well.